Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Lara Trump absolutely cleans Dana Bash's clock when she gets this basic thing wrong about the terrible reaction to Hurricane Helene. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have the cure to Biden inflation and Harris economics, but more on that later. Now, let's dive in.
Laura, I want to ask you about something that the former president said last night on that stage, specifically about Hurricane Helene in your home state of North Carolina. He said that FEMA is only offering $750 to Americans who have had their homes destroyed. That's not true. He's also echoing conspiracy theorists online who falsely claim that the administration is redirecting disaster money for undocumented immigrants. That's also not true. Why is he spreading misinformation in a crisis like that? And does that concern you about your fellow North Carolinians and how and whether they could actually get help?
I'm incredibly concerned in North Carolina. I hear every day from people on the ground there, and they are desperate for help. It is a dire situation there. I actually think we don't even know the extent yet of truly how bad it is there. And look, Kamala Harris did come out and say it's $750 per family right now. The idea that we've spent $650 million in fiscal year 24 on the migrant crisis that Kamala Harris was responsible for stopping, and by all accounts, she created by having an open door policy at our southern border,
but
is
Laura,
infuriating.
Laura, let me just stop you right there.
Of this country.
Let me just stop you right there because I just want to not let this get out there. You are right that FEMA is giving $750, but that is a first step. It's for immediate needs. It's called the serious needs assistance.
Dana, and said that they are out of money in terms of their hurricane relief. We have another hurricane heading towards Florida right now.
What they have said is that there is money
right now. Why don't they have anything in order? Why is it that right now the citizens in Western North Carolina are screaming for help, and it's having to come from local citizens? People from my hometown of Wilmington are driving across the state 6 hours to go to the mountains and help people.
It is bad.
Where is our federal government? Why are they out of money?
It is bad there, but my question is about the misinformation, particularly the notion that they are moving money to migrants, you say undocumented migrants, which FEMA says flatly is not true. And if people are not getting correct information, then they can't go for assistance as they have been asked for. I just want to quickly play with Senator Tom Tillis.
Let me just say for 1 second.
Go ahead.
You have migrants being housed in luxury hotels in New York City. We have paid so much money from our tax dollars into the crisis that didn't need to happen. We could redirect money to help people immediately on the ground in North Carolina, or in Florida, where we're probably going to have a situation coming up in the next several days.
That's a separate tranche of money. That's a separate tranche of money. I want you to listen to.
I want you to. This migrant crisis hasn't been a disaster for every American. It is a big problem,
but that has nothing to do with.
Maybe I can make this easy for you, Dana. When migrants are being housed in luxury hotels in places like New York City and Chicago, meanwhile, actual American citizens are left out in the cold. It's really just that simple to think about. We don't care about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, because that's what you seem to care about, Dana. That's what's going on here. They are more mad at CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times. Just name a mainstream outlet. Okay, just name one. They care more that Donald Trump didn't give the full and complete story. Who cares about the full and complete story? The best that these citizens of North Carolina are going to get from FEMA is $750. And I don't trust FEMA to get anything right. It was bad after Katrina, and it's a similar story going on in North Carolina. This is a historically bad response to a historically weird storm, because it was quite literally the perfect storm. There was already a system dumping a lot of rain into the Appalachian Mountains, and then Helene came through and dumped even more rain. This isn't a 100-year flood. This is closer to a 1,000-year flood, and these communities are devastated. I happened to be driving back home from D.C. down to Georgia. I got to see the water levels on the western side of the Appalachians, and it's pretty bad. I got to see it with my own eyes, and that's not even the worst parts. We're talking about Asheville. We're talking about Boone, North Carolina, which, by the way, if you want to support anyone, support Samaritan's Purse more than anyone else. They're actually based out of Boone, North Carolina. They do a lot of good work. I've had the pleasure of working with them before. Not that I was any good at it. I'm not much for manual labor. Hey, y'all. I'm not exactly looking at retirement anytime soon. But my parents are. And friends of my parents are. And I'm sure either you or someone you know is looking at retirement and wondering, what do I do? How do I help prepare for this in this economy with this terrible president and with a vice president who basically coup d'etat him and is now looking to run for president herself? How do you protect against this? Well, simple. You go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have something called the Retirement Package Plan. This plan backs your wealth with gold and silver accounts. And furthermore, you will have direct access to these accounts. So you're not at the whims of Wall Street. You're not at the whims of inflation. You are in command of your own destiny. As a bonus, qualified applicants can receive up to $10,000 in free silver, plus a couple of other little goodies that they're going to package up for you, and you're going to be able to protect your wealth and your retirement. So go over to this link in the description below at colonialmetalsgroup.com or call this number 800-203-0422 and see how they can help you prepare for retirement today by backing your account with gold and silver. Don't delay your retirement, folks. Protect the money that you earned with Colonial Metals Group. They're here to help. But they're good people. They are able to help out those in that region because they're better at their job than FEMA is. Do you know what FEMA is actually doing right now? They're basically doing the same thing that they did in Hawaii. In the, let's see, I can't remember the name of the town now. I believe it was on the island of Maui, I think. And that terrible wildfire that just wrecked the town, and they could have warned the people, but the Democrat leadership was so terrified that people might sue them for a false alarm that they didn't warn their own citizens because they treated people like sheep rather than, actually doing their jobs. And this is typical for Democrat leadership, but it's even worse this time around. Because FEMA is not just giving $750. Yes, they're doing a little bit more. But they're also stopping efforts to actually help people. They have, on multiple occasions, shut down airspace in order to be in complete control of the situation. Instead of letting all these third parties and NGOs come in and help out the people in a town that's quite literally surrounded. All right? If this was a siege, Asheville, North Carolina is quite literally under siege because the supply chain getting in is so bad. It's so backed up that people are lined up for miles just for gasoline and other basic needs. This is just an insane amount of incompetence, and FEMA is actively hurting the very people and citizens of North Carolina. This makes my blood boil. We have learned nothing from Katrina, and that was 20 years ago. You'd think that there'd be some competent people in office, right? Well, of course not. All right? Again, this is Democrat control at its finest. This is government, once again, not owning up to their own inabilities and inequities. And the moment they get shown up by people like, for instance, Elon Musk, who is allowing people to have Starlink in order to basically say, hey, we need some help over here. Please help us. And they're mad at him because he's providing a service that they're unable to up in North Carolina. It's insane because our government cares more about saving face than they do about serving the people. They care more about the feelings of rich white liberals than they do of the feelings of the people who are actually hurt by this storm, who, by the way, mostly vote Republican. Funny how that works here. So I want to end with this. If you live in North Carolina and you see this disaster response, and you still think that it is a good idea to vote for these same people again in 2024, the people who are overseeing this right now, the Biden administration, his surrogate, Kamala Harris is running, they are the ones that are directly responsible for this terrible response. If you think it's a good idea to put these two people back in office, you need to have your head examined. I hate sounding this mean. I don't like doing that. I don't like accusing people. I don't like looking at the audience and say, you suck. No. That's not what this is about. This is about a state that is hurting. This is an area that's tough to get to. And now you mean to tell me that there are people out there in North Carolina that are still thinking about voting Democrat? It's insane. It's just insane. I'm not from North Carolina. I'm a Georgia boy. But I love the Appalachian Mountains. I love that region. My roots are in East Tennessee and North Georgia. I know how bad a flood can actually get in these hills and hollers. And it's deep. It's surprisingly deep valleys up there. And when the flooding's that bad, it's ruining entire towns. It's destroying families. And we have a government that cares more about saving face than serving the people. This has to change. My heart goes out to the victims of Hurricane Helene, and now there's another one that's forming in the Gulf. It looks like it's going to be a Category 5. It's massive. It's heading right for Tampa Bay. This is the time that FEMA needs to show that it's actually competent. And as usual, they're showing nothing but the insanity and the incompetence that we have come to expect out of our federal government. This has to change. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Politbro. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.